مهنة محلل استخباراتي اللغوي ليست مهنة عادية. فنحن أصحاب هذه المهنة نمثل الآذان الصاغية التي تحافظ على أمننا جميعاً. تتطلب هذه المهنة تركيزاً ووقتاً ومثابرة. أصبحت شخصاً لم أظن مطلقاً أن أكونه يوماً ما. الأمر أكبر من مجرد الاستماع، إذ يتعلق بالثقافات التي ستتفاعل معها ووجهات النظر التي ستكونها. تقاضيت أجراً للتحول من شخص ليس لديه خبرة إلى ما أنا عليه الآن خلال 18 شهراً فقط. وفي الوقت الحالي استخدم هذه اللغة لأساعد في اتخاذ القرارات التي تنقذ الأرواح في أقل من الثانية، لتكون الغلبة لنا.
So, does this sound like an ordinary job to you?
Ah, so you like figuring stuff out?
Huh?
Come on. Can you solve this?
Yeah.
All right, clever clogs. Maybe you're more protective. Try protecting space.
Possible satellite breakup. Copy.
Or are you chill enough to fly that?
Fly that thing. No, this thing.
Everyone's got that one thing they were born to do. Find your force in the RAF.
I want a lip gloss that can stay on whatever life throws at me.
Strong, healthy hair. What's my secret?
With my busy life, I don't have time to slow down.
I can't believe we turned up wearing the same thing.
All-day protection, now with wings, so I can handle anything.
Women should be defined by actions, not cliches. Every role in the RAF is open to everyone. Find your force in the RAF.
So, you want to join the RAF? We should probably tell you about the extra qualifications you'll get, how you'll take your skills to the next level, leading a team of technicians, about the epic adventure training, and getting to travel the world with friends you'll make for life. But we know why you're really here. This. Take your engineering to the ultimate level. Apply to become an aerospace engineering officer today.
When I left university, I was out of ideas of what I really wanted to do. So then I kept chatting to some of my friends who had served or are currently serving in the Royal Air Force as well, and their job sounded quite fun, different and enjoyable. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a aircraft technician avionics on 47 Squadron, Hercules C-130J, and I've been in the Air Force for 4.5 years now. So my role as an aircraft technician avionics is to look after all the electrical systems on the aircraft, including all the power, communications, navigation, radar and defensive systems. My Phase 1 training actually was a bit easier than I expected it to be. I expected it to be more strict, more disciplined, more shouting, but actually all they wanted to see was hard work, self-discipline and teamwork, getting the most out of you, making you prepared to finishing and then coming and being an asset to the Air Force afterwards. And then my phase 2 training was probably a bit harder than I expected. I had no aircraft background before I started, so having to learn everything was from scratch was difficult at times, but with the work I put in, maybe a couple of hours a night after my lessons, I actually got quite good marks in my phase 2 and 3 training. You get the training given to you for free and you're also getting paid a full wage at that time as well. So for the amount of technical training we are given and the amount we are paid, really is second to none. So my advice, don't say no, just take everything you can get. Take everything you can get from the organisation, because there's so much which people don't make the most of. And if you do, your career will be a lot more fulfilling.
So I chose to join the RAF as it provides a really varied career that offers opportunities through training and travelling to develop yourself for the future. I'm Harry and I'm an Air Traffic and Weapons Controller Sergeant in the Royal Air Force. So we work with primary radar systems and secondary radar systems similar to what the civilians use. This is all fed into the tower where we have radar equipment, and we also use specialist communication systems to communicate with the airborne assets. So day to day it can be different throughout the tower. There are many positions that we can conduct within the radar and visual control rooms. Due to the dynamic nature of helicopters, it requires a lot of forward thinking on what they're going to do because there's so many surfaces that they can use. They don't require the full length of the runway, so you can have multiple assets working to the same area at the same time. So you need to have a good understanding of the different types of aircraft that you work with due to you having to coordinate them regularly, so you need to know their relative airspeeds just to make sure that you can keep your separation distance, and there's pertinent safety implications for some aircraft due to the nature of their gear. So to become a qualified controller, you conduct the Joint Air Traffic Controllers course at RAF Shawbury, commonly known as JATC, which is approximately a 9-month course where it's split down into 2 phases. One's a radar phase where you conduct radar training through exercises, and then once you've completed that, you go on to the visual training at the end. The most challenging thing about training was the intensity. There's a quick learning curve, but at the same time it's rewarding as you're learning and applying what you're being taught. The best thing about my role is the dynamic nature day to day. There's so many opportunities to do varied things within not just the tower, but also get myself out on station and perform other duties. It's such a great opportunity with so many varied roles that you can go into in the future. Not just through training, there's opportunities for education, for travel. Myself, I've been away to Germany and Scotland, varied locations through the RAF.
Hello there and welcome to RAF Live. We're here for Parents' Evening here at RAF Cranwell. My name is Harry Benjamin. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We've got a load of sessions lined up, 3 sessions, all about life in the RAF, what to expect and what to expect of your time once you're actually in the RAF as well. And first of all, our session is all about preparing for the RAF, and I'm joined by 2 people who know a bit more than me, and they're the ones that are going to set everything straight. I hope, at least. I'm sure they will. We're joined by 2 air specialists, Emily Wallace and Daniela Flanagan. Firstly, thank you so much for taking the time. Emily, if I start with you, if you just give us a bit of a background of how you started in the RAF and what your journey's been so far.
I initially tried to join up at the age of 17, but circumstances meant that I couldn't. So I flipped and flopped between some different areas of work, so sales, customer service, retail, logistics. Nothing seemed to fit. And one day I just decided that, you know, I'll try again, just give it another go and see what happens. And yeah, 5 years later.
Here we are.
Yeah,
amazing. What about you, Danielle?
So basically, I spent the last 5 years chopping and changing between jobs too. I just wanted to wait till I was more mature and personally ready to join the RAF. My dad's in the RAF, so I've grown up around the lifestyle, so I was used to it. So I was just prepared, and I finally applied.
So I suppose actually 2 very different kind of perspectives and ways in. If I come back to you, Emily, because one of the main things I suppose people are worried about is where do you start with your preparation? You know, I suppose one of the first things that comes is fitness and the test that you've got to go through. What is that like to prepare for?
Well, the fitness test isn't usually until about halfway through your application. So you usually submit your interest through the careers website, and then you know you're invited for an interview. It's pretty relaxed, just kind of gauge your interest. You'll sit a simple aptitude test, and then, like I say, halfway through your application, you'll sit a fitness test, which is just a 1.5 mile run with a certain time limit, some push-ups and some sit-ups, and that's really about it.
And the bleep test?
No, not until you're actually fully in the service and in basic training. Yeah. But depending on which routes you take for your application depends on how soon you do a bleep test.
Okay, I can breathe a sigh of relief for the time being then. But you mentioned as well at the start your background and how actually, you know, unlike Danielle, you didn't have any sort of connections to the RAF initially, and you did lots of different jobs. Talk to us about that and how you found your way from there into looking into the RAF.
It was very, very strange, to be fair. It was something that I did have an interest in. You know, while no one directly is in the RAF, I do have some family that have got military connections. I just couldn't find anything within, you know, in outside work that interested me. You know, sales and customer service and retail, it was just nothing seemed to fit, and I felt like I wanted to progress any further.
Well, fantastic. So, but Daniela, actually, you were saying beforehand as well when we were chatting that you came into the RAF. Obviously, you mentioned your dad was part of it. You also joined during the COVID era as well.
Yeah, I did.
So that must have been a really difficult or just a completely different experience?
I wouldn't exactly say difficult. I would say a bit bizarre and strange. The whole process was different. It was longer because it took longer to get your medical through and be booked to do your fitness test, because obviously it's COVID time, gyms weren't open. Once we're in the RAF, it was a bit different as well because it was the socially distanced side of it, and parents couldn't come watch me graduate. It was a very unique and different experience to what most have had.
Amazing. And so, looking back then, what advice would you give? Because we sort of passed the COVID era now, really, in terms of how strict the rules are. What advice, first of all, would you give somebody in that initial state of preparation, knowing what you've gone through has been slightly different?
For me, personally, it would be find any way to improve your fitness, because it is a big one when you first join up. Most of basic training is orientated about getting yourself ready to standard in RAF and improving your fitness standards to get you overall healthy and at a good level. So just going out on runs and more walks, especially during COVID, because it was more difficult. Everyone was secluded. You couldn't go to gyms, but even taking dog for a walk more regularly or just doing a little run to the shops would help.
And would you agree with that kind of stuff?
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I joined pre-COVID, so it was, regular runs. I did runs about 3 times a week, a couple of practices of the fitness test, maybe twice a week of the bleep test, just so I could get familiar with it. And I don't know if you would agree, but definitely practicing the fitness test and the bleep test is definitely a must for practicing the turns, and it helps you prevent injury.
Now you are both air specialists, obviously, in different fields as well. If we could expand a bit about what you're actually doing day to day at the moment. And suppose one of the questions, if you're looking in this kind of area that we get, is do you have to know a lot about aircraft in the first place before even sort of getting ready?
Not necessarily. So as long as you have a broad overview of what aircraft are in the RAF, once you've been posted, you'll obviously learn more about that platform that you are working more closely with. But to your initial question, I'm a airspace operations specialist working at RAF Marham within station plans, and I also assist with the squadron program support as well. And
we also spoke off air as well, you're a cadet too. Now, what does that mean, and what are the rules around that?
So typically for somebody that has got some interest in joining the military, it doesn't necessarily have to be the RAF, it can be any form of the military. You can usually join around the age of 13 or 12 if you're in year 8. And it's a basic introduction. You'll learn basics around air power, and a lot of the things that you will be asked during your interview, you can sometimes pick up through that.
So there isn't a sort of an age limit straight away. You don't have to be 18 before you can embark down this road, or is there?
You can join beforehand. So there are some people that I went through training with that started their application at 16, but there are obviously some welfare considerations that come with that. So if you are going to join before the age of 18, you do really need to be sure that this is something that you want to do.
Absolutely, it's not for the faint-hearted, but it's a lot of fun and challenging as well when you can get involved with it, I'm sure. Daniela, coming back to you, we've spoken about it already, a different way of coming in. We talked about the fitness side of things, but what else can you do to prepare, especially coming from your background? Is there anything at school or extracurricular outside of that can help better prepare you for life in the RAF?
Once again, the cadets is a great way. It doesn't just introduce you into the roles of the job you're about to take, but it gets you used to the basic military lifestyle, like drill and a lot of other things around that, uniform, the standards of how to address people. Other ways to improve yourself is before I was joining up to do the aptitude test, I bought a book to revise because I'm quite bad dyslexic, so I struggle with that. So I bought a book to go over everything, which helped me open more trades that I would be able to apply for. There's many things you could possibly do.
And you're now working as cabin crew, is that right?
Yeah.
So just sort of kind of highlights the variety actually of what you can go on to do within the RAF, because is that always the path you thought you'd end up doing?
No, not necessarily, but it's a path I chose. I thought before joining the RAF of potentially being cabin crew civilian-wise, but then COVID hit and loads of people were getting made redundant that were flying. So being in the RAF, being cabin crew-wise, has been a very good way of doing it.
Amazing. Well, look, don't go anywhere because we're going to chat a bit more. But we've got a video lined up for you now that we can throw to RAF Lossiemouth to give you a little idea. It's one of our bases and what base life might be like for you, what you can get involved with, and you can see it for your eyes yourself.
We're very fortunate here that it's isolated enough so that there's not too many people around, but there's lots to see and do, particularly if you like the outdoors. Beautiful beaches, great for families, and great for youngsters.
I volunteered for this post because it was the job that I was interested in, and I hadn't actually been to Lossiemouth before. But after moving here and living here for a while, I wish I'd honestly moved here sooner, because it's a stunning part of the world to live in. Just down in Lossie itself, in the town, there's 2 stunning beaches. One's a white sandy beach, the other is sort of a pebble type beach. And yeah, Lossie beachfront itself, plenty of restaurants and bars as well.
The Royal Air Force outside work does offer you quite a lot. You've got hundreds of Eagle schemes, that will allow you to go abroad, to go skiing, kayaking,
paragliding or abseiling.
Mountain biking, I've been surfing.
The rugby clubs, football clubs. You've got esports gaming club that's just been set up here at RAF Lossiemouth and it's getting more funding.
There's plenty of adventure training to do up here, especially hiking and mountain biking. But on top of that, there is also RAF flying clubs that offer subsidised, non-for-profit flying training for anyone that wants to get their pilot's licence.
So where I'm kicking around base, I tend to use the messing facilities to eat instead of cooking in the block. It's a subsidised meal and it's fantastic quality. One of the best messes when the Air Force is up at Lossie.
I cook for myself in the kitchens. They're incredibly spacious. There's a lot of kits provided in there, such as microwaves and stoves. So I just cook for myself, really. Not only that, there's a bar called Barrel and Bean, which also has a Starbucks attached to it. I'm a very, very avid coffee drinker, so I go down there quite frequently.
So personally using the facilities up at RAF Lossiemouth, one of the best ones got to be the quarters, especially new ones that are getting built right now to more modernise the way we're living and keeping our lifestyle up to date. And just the bar has just been refurbished as well, and it's a fantastic option now just to go with your mates on a Friday night. And when you've got a bit of free time, go to the gym. That is free of charge, and it's got more kit than what I would say you'd find in a lot of civvy streets. And it's always well kept clean and up to date.
Before coming up here, I was sceptical. Oh, it's far away from everything. But being up here, it's generally been the best time that I've had so far.
It's a fantastic base, and just I wouldn't listen to as many negative comments, but I'd make your own decision on it.
If you're an outdoors, adventurous type of person, I can't think of anywhere better, really, to work from.
Have an open mind. I know it's far up north, but once you're up here, it's very much a community.
Once you get in here and you start to get embedded and meet the people, you start to identify that it's actually a gem of a place to live.
Welcome back to Parents' Evening, live from RAF Cranwell, and we're talking all about preparing for the RAF this evening, and a whole showcase of life at the RAF throughout the evening coming your way too. Now, we've got a game behind us, Batak. Now, there is a reason behind this. Emily and Danielle have joined me for this too. Now, we're each going to have a go. You both look very worried. It's going to be fine. Now, this is supposed to be all about the skills you might learn or have to need during the RAF, regardless, I suppose, of where you're going. I suppose aptitude test, coordination, reaction. Is that all sounding fairly familiar?
Yes, it is, definitely.
Well, that's a good thing. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go first and set the benchmark. And I imagine you two have got to be better than me, really. So then you're going to go. Okay? Sound good? All right. You can hold that. We'll have a go. And you can hold my notes. There you go. Right. Okay. Right. Get ready. 30 seconds. I feel like you need to use... Wow. 37. Not as good as I got earlier, but that's my benchmark. Now, that felt like you need to use your peripheral vision quite a lot and just general hope for the best?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yep.
Are you ready?
No, but we'll go.
Come on then. Right, Emily, let me just reset that for you. Get ready. Okay, 37, the time to be. Off you go. Oh, interesting stuff. So, reaction testing, coordination. This is what this game is all about. All things you'll need to be a part of the RAF, regardless of where you end up. Nearly there. Just 5 seconds left of this. And I think I'm doing well. I think I'm doing well here. Time at 33. Emily, 33. Right, come on, Daniela. Right, let's reset this. Now, what do you think is needed for this kind of game?
Height.
Height?
Yeah, you're quite tall. You can reach top ones while semi-crouched down.
But I can't reach the bottom.
Yeah, you can.
All right, well, you're up. 33. Well, what did I get? 37. Go. So height, clearly, maybe an advantage. Once again, it's a slow and steady start, but I've got faith. Emily, I feel like we might be eliminating you on this one, but actually, oh no, Danielle, you're slowing down a bit. It probably doesn't help that I'm also narrating this. But peripheral vision, quite a key thing clearly in this, as well as just general cognitive reaction timing, useful in all aspects of life, as well as the RAF. 35. Oh no, what did you get? I got 37 and you got 33. So I managed to get, I beat you and you. Now that's saying something, isn't it? But these kind of games, they do teach us a little bit about, what is the fundamental basics of what's needed to be a part of the RAF, or certainly when looking at joining the RAF.
Yeah, definitely. Quick reaction time, hand-eye coordination is a must.
Have you done this kind of thing before?
No, personally, no.
Is there anything similar like it when you're going through the assessment periods?
Not personally, no. It could be similar things like sort of hand-eye coordination on the aptitude test, but they're more like puzzles, so.
Easier?
No, probably not.
Okay, well, because, who lost between you two? Was it you? You lost. Right, we're going to go again. You're eliminated, so winner takes all, okay? Right, you can hold my notes. Right, here we go again. So I think I got 37 last time. If it'll work. If it'll work. We might be having a little bit of a game technical issue here. If I press 4, oh, that worked. No. I don't think we're going to get another game in. Oh, here we go. I'm improved though. 41 on that time. It's quite exhausting, isn't it? Right, come on, your turn. Let's see if it'll work again. Right, I'll take that. Thank you. Okay. Is it going to play ball this time? We love a game on a live stream. It's really fun. Right, come on. It stopped playing ball. Right, if I do that again. That seemed to work last time. 41 to beat. 30 seconds. Got it in the end. Now this is for all-out glory, and beats doing a bleep test for me, anyway. I feel like we've made the job slightly harder. I think it should be on a wall, but we're doing the best we can. Nearly there. Am I going to beat both of you? Oh. Well, I think I beat both of you on that one. So sign me up. I'm ready. It's not quite as easy as that, clearly. But to reiterate the main points, I suppose, of preparing for the RAF, it is all about understanding what you're about to embark on, but also what you've both highlighted is actually how different a path you can take, even if you're joining at the same time, for instance.
Yeah, 100%. It's different for everyone, and everyone's got different reasons for joining. But if you push through it, it's worth it. Yeah, and Emily, if I chat to you as well, if I come around this way, actually, does that work a little bit better? Again, you were doing all sorts of jobs beforehand. Has any of that stuff helped you? Working in sales and things like that. Has any of it helped you coming into the RAF?
Yes, so in my job particularly, there's a lot of people that I have to speak to on a daily basis from all different walks of life, different ranks. Some people can get quite intimidated by that, but I find it second nature to be able to just speak to anybody and get what I need.
And what are some of the key skills that you found that maybe you didn't start out with, but you've developed through the process?
Communication is a huge thing. Your ability to again get what you need in order to complete a task is huge. but also your teamwork. You can't always complete a task without your teammates, and you need them.
I'm sweating, Daniela. But same question to you.
What was the question?
What was the question? Good call. Some of the skills that perhaps you started out with, but that you've now developed or didn't have before, thanks to being in the RAF, what do you feel like you have personally developed?
Mine would 100% be time management, because being in the Air Force, it's strategic. If you need to go somewhere, you need to have that time management. You can't be late for tasks or operations. You need to be there on time. And same again, to reiterate, 100% communication. You need to be able to communicate to everyone, higher ranks, lower ranks, and be comfortable with the communication between yourself and them.
Absolutely. You've got to be really clear and communicate, as you say. I suppose the one thing that maybe people struggle to understand when they're preparing for the RAF is what a day-to-day looks like. And obviously you both do different roles. Could you give us a day-to-day? Is it a 9 to 5? What are the hours personally?
I've had jobs that have been 9 to 5, but also shift work. So it can depend on where you're posted and what job you're doing at a certain time. But at the moment, it is just a 9 to 5 office job.
And Daniela?
Mine is neither. Being cabin crew, it just depends on the monthly rota. Comes out a month in advance. It lets you know what flights you got planned, what office days, but they can change. So you can be up at 3 in the morning and not land in another country till about 5 in the evening. So it honestly just depends on the task you got.
And cabin crew, I mean, forgive me, this is a basic question, but you're not going on commercial airlines and doing that. You're not sort of being sent via the RAF on a placement almost, or is that kind of how it works? I don't know.
No, we're on the Voyager A330 aircraft, which we own. So it's basically a commercial jet that has been commissioned, and it looks like a military jet and is, but effectively it's got the same passenger seats as a commercial one.
So I imagine you've done a fair bit of travelling then.
Yeah, I've done a good few flights, good few operations as well. It's been nice to travel and a nice experience to go around different countries and different cultures.
Now, I suppose that comes with the job, but Emily, in your case, do you get much chance to experience life outside?
It's very different because I work with the F-35 Lightning. So unless they are going on exercises or on occasional deployments, if they need some extra support, then yes, there is the potential for me to go. But otherwise, I'm stay at home.
Now, has it been, unlike Daniela, who had, your dad was in the RAF, so you had a little bit of an idea, I suppose, of how it was going to be. In your case, as we said, not the case. Has it lived up to expectation? What did you expect when you were first joining?
I didn't know what to expect, and it was quite nice going in with an open mind to basically learn everything. You don't know what to expect, you don't know what's going to happen, so to be able to walk in and just be like, I'll take it as it comes, it's quite nice.
Amazing. Now, all this is about sort of myth busting and trying to make it easily accessible so people know what they're getting into. So is there anything that maybe that is completely wrong, that the RAF has a bit of a reputation for, or it should be a myth that should be completely debunked now? Or anything that you learned that surprised you, even though your dad was in the RAF?
Just that it's very different nowadays to when my dad joined up, because he joined up about 30 years ago. The RAF lifestyle is changed completely. So he was so used to telling me, no, it's like this, no, it's like that. But same again, going in very open-minded, it's very different nowadays to what it used to be. So don't listen to if anyone's got any negative comments about it. Make your own mind up on it.
Has it been nice to have that support there?
Yeah, 100%. He's helped me through everything to, once I'm in the RAF, to help him with my appraisals. Because obviously I'm dyslexic and I struggle for that. I've got the backing from him, but also the backing from the RAF, who managed to do my dyslexia assessment for me.
Amazing. And same to you, Emily, I suppose. Support of a different kind. Are you able to find that support within the RAF?
Yes. So obviously as you age and your career progresses, your lifestyle and your lifestyle needs will change, and they can be very, very supportive of that. Obviously you'll have deployments, and there will be certain circumstances that arise that sometimes you don't want, but 9 times out of 10 it will always play in your favour.
Well, that's encouraging to hear, actually, I think, as well. Now, we're talking all about preparing for the RAF, naturally, and obviously you've clearly have good reaction skills and play a good game of BATAC. 3 things from each of you, and they've got to be different, that you would say you need to be prepared when you join the RAF. Who wants to go first? Who's ready? Oh, Daniela, go on.
I've got one, definitely. Practice your fitness and improve your fitness. Still have, if you've got good communication with family or friends while you're at basic training, it does help to have the support there. And I don't know, I'm trying to think on the last one. Come back to me.
I'll come back to you. I'll hold you to that. Emily?
There's a phrase that when speaking to other people that serve, you'll hear throughout training, and that is play the game. And essentially, it's just a case of be open-minded, accept what is going to happen. You can't change it, but keep your head down, keep focused, and you will get there.
That's really nice to hear, and I'm going to hold you to it. Have you got another one?
Yeah, it's a funny one, but my thing for going to basic is bring lots of snacks. Because you're hungry, because you do a lot of fizz. Definitely.
And so was there anything on top of that that you were worried about when you were coming into training and joining the RAF that turned out to be maybe not so much of a worry, or something that you would actually say, you know, that is something you need to take a bit of time over? I know we talked about the fitness, but was there anything personally that worried you?
I'd say separation from your family. If you've never been away from family before, it can be quite a big deal. I don't know how things are at the moment in terms of, I know that the course structure has changed, but when I went through basic training, there was several weekends of leave. But if you don't get that for whatever reason, take your opportunity on a night to speak to your family. Always keep them close, keep them updated on what's going on, because you will find that they are one of the better support networks.
Mine would be failure is probably what I worried about, especially with my dad being in the RAF, and I didn't personally want to be a failure, but stuff happened. Failed my fitness test at basic.
What happens then if you fail?
You get to redo it, so it was probably the nerves for me on the first day. Failed it, but then went back, did it again, passed it. But with that, don't be stressed about failure, because the RAF and all the instructors there are there to support you and push you to pass. They don't want to see you fail. They want to see you pass and join the RAF and have a happy career.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat a little bit about what it's like preparing for the RAF. Anything you've heard so far today, you can find out more information on the RAF website, and not going to uni as well. There you are. We found you in the end. Thank you so much for sticking with us for this first session. Don't worry, we're going to have a quick break, about 30 minutes or so, and we've got 2 more sessions coming your way, all about what life is like within the RAF and all the different variety of roles you can experience. Join us in about half an hour.
So I joined the Royal Air Force because I didn't really know what to do as a career when I was younger. And talking to my dad, he used to be in the RAF, and he would tell me these stories about what he got up to and what he did, and I wanted to have a go. Hi, I'm Josh. I've been in the RAF for about 2 years now, and I'm an aircraft technician mechanical. So as an aircraft technician mechanical, I work with the mechanical aspects of the aircraft, hydraulics, anything to do with servicings, removal and replacement of components, functional tests of those components to see if the aircraft's working after you've ripped something out and put it back in. So the training of the Royal Air Force was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. The theory side, the maths, the science was challenging, but with the group you get with your family, they get you through. You work together as a team of eyes, and yeah, you get through. So currently my apprenticeship is in progress, but the apprenticeship cell is getting me through. They're very helpful. They know exactly what to do and how to get my apprenticeship done and dusted as soon as possible. It's very clear that the management here trust what I do. They will just give me a job and they give me the empowerment to go out and finish that job. So in terms of expectations, when I joined the Royal Air Force, I thought it would be a lot more disciplined. I thought I'd have to march everywhere. It's a lot more relaxed than I thought it would be. Take every chance you get for adventure training, going out on deck, just using all the time you have to do as much as you can, because you really do get a lot of great opportunities.
Once you get in here and you start to get embedded and meet the people, you start to identify that it's actually a gem of a place to live.
There's plenty of adventure training to do up here, especially hiking and mountain biking. But on top of that, there is also RAF flying clubs that offer subsidised, non-for-profit flying training for anyone that wants to get their pilot's licence.
So the great thing about being a supplier is every role is available to you, whether that's working in fuels. If you want a desk job, you can go and work in that department.
The most important trait working in RAF logistics is probably being proactive.
You've got to be hard-working, you've got to work well as a team but also individually, and I would say a sense of humour would help. I've learnt a lot about how other companies work, as well as the RAF, which will help me if I do decide to leave the Air Force.
So we're responsible for distributing any spares, ground spares, air spares, and that's all through the receipts and dispatch section. So you pack it, process the paperwork.
So I work in a primary stock holding group, which means we house all the kit. I also am the supplier for a lot of the bays, so when people modify kit and change it, it's our job to store it and then distribute that out to operation environments and people overseas. We also deal with all the classified equipment too. So before I joined the RAF, I was working in a call centre, and it was a job that I felt like I wasn't getting much progression in. So I wanted a career where they'd give back to me and where they'd invest in me. You do your basic training, you do your phase 2 training when you learn about supply. Some of my personal development is the education centre, where they contribute to you gaining extra qualifications. There's also the opportunity to do adventure training, where you can develop your personal skills like leadership, trust, mentoring.
So with the RAF, I've travelled to Mali, which is in Africa, and that was part of the Chinook detachment. I also went Nordic skiing in Germany.
What I enjoy most about my current role is dealing with all the classified kit, whether that's going to exercises or operations around the world, ensuring that it gets there and the operational requirements are met.
And there's like a variety in the job. So one minute you could be in receipts and dispatch, inbound, outbound freight, driving forklift. The next you could be in the supply accounting section doing the admin work.
The apprenticeship takes 12 months to complete. It's a mixture of written assessments and then an exam at the end, as well as a practical exam, so people can see that you are able to do what's required of you. Yeah, you have to work as a team. I've only been here for 15 months, so I don't know everything. And I think someone that's been here for 15 years probably doesn't know everything. So you have to have the help of your colleagues that know more than you and work together to get the output you need.
Welcome to the first panel talk ahead at RAF Clearing Live, brought to you by Not Going to Uni, where we look at everything to do with why you should pick a career in the RAF, being joined by Stuart and Carrie from the engagement team here at the RAF.
Firstly, happy results day. I hope it's gone all right. If it hasn't, Do not worry, that is what we are here for. And today we're teaming up with the RAF to talk all about opportunities that might be available to you within the RAF with a series of panel talks throughout the afternoon. What are the opportunities and some of the benefits available about looking into joining the RAF?
How long's the podcast? We've got quite a few.
You've got to do the sell.
For me, it's not a hard sell. It's I enjoy doing what I do. You know, going into schools, we don't collect data. I don't get paid anymore for people signing up. It's just answering questions. So for me, the roles in the Air Force, we have approximately 60 roles, and it's so wide and varied. Most people think the Air Force is about pilots. It is an important role. We do need them. Only about 2 or 3% of the RAF are pilots. We've got engineers, very heavy technical organisation. About 40% of the RAF are engineers. We've got £250 million aircraft we need to service and fix. So it's really important we have people coming in to do that. We also have photographers, musicians, physical training instructors, dentists, nurses, logistics. We've got a wide remit of roles, and they're all on the careers on the RAF website. You can have a look there and find which role is suitable for you.
In terms of when you want to join the RAF and you're looking and you're weighing up the differences between maybe what is a university life, a university degree going to offer me compared to a life in the RAF. Obviously, I think a big draw perhaps for university is obviously a degree, but at the same time, perhaps the social life as well. How does that relate to the RAF? Do you still get a bit of a life?
So the social life, yes, we've got the junior ranks will have a mess and they'll have what's known as BOP night, so it's disco night, so it's like a nightclub, they have a bar. We have the sergeants and warrant officers mess and the officers mess. Both of those will have dining in nights, which are just big functions, banquets. They'll have summer balls, they'll have Christmas draws, which is again like a winter ball. They'll have just great big five-course banquets, a bar, which is heavily subsidised. What are some of the main myths you're trying to bust? Are there any ones that people may be watching now and thinking, well, I don't want to be a pilot, or maybe that's all I want to be? Yeah, we're not just pilots in the RAF, as Stu said. We've got 59 other roles to pilot. Some of the myths is you'll not see your family and friends again. My very first time in this job, we had a seminar and we had a grandfather and his granddaughter came in, and his myth was he honestly thought that he would not see his granddaughter for 10 years, that she'd sign up and he wouldn't see her again. The fact that we showed them the accommodation, what sort they'd be living in, where they would be, the fact that they can go home at weekends outside of the training syllabus and still stay in touch, and he was like, where can I sign her up? So there's a lot of myths, but a lot of it is we're not all fighters. A lot of what we do is humanitarian aid as well.
People think you have to be military to join the military, and it's really not true. I was untidy, I was always late, not a lot of get up and go, and that's my mum probably thought I'd last 2 weeks. But I just took to the structure of it, and the great thing I love about the Air Force is that if you're asked to do something, if time allows, it's explained to you why. So if you're asked to jump, this is what one of my first drill instructors said to me. In the RAF, we tell you how, we tell you to jump, we say how high, and then we explain why we want you to jump. And that's been the lesson for me. And that's something I've carried on through, that as long as it's explained to me why we're doing it and I can see the reason behind it, then yeah, it makes sense. And that's something I think with our organisation, it just rings true.
For more information, head online and search RAF Careers, or you can go to our website, notgoingtouni.co.uk. I've been Harry Benjamin. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
So I joined the Royal Air Force because I didn't really know what to do as a career when I was younger. And talking to my dad, so I joined the Royal Air Force because I didn't really know what to do as a career when I was younger. And talking to my dad, he used to be in the RAF, and he would tell me these stories about what he got up to and what he did, and I wanted to have a go. Hi, I'm Josh. I've been in the RAF for about 2 years now, and I'm an aircraft technician mechanical. So as an aircraft technician mechanical, I work with the mechanical aspects of the aircraft, hydraulics, anything to do with servicings, removal and replacement of components, functional tests of those components to see if the aircraft's working after you've ripped something out and put it back in. So the training of the Royal Air Force was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. The theory side, the maths, the science was challenging, but with the group you get with your family, they get you through. You work together as a team of eyes, and yeah, you get through. So currently my apprenticeship is in progress, but the apprenticeship cell is getting me through. They're very helpful. They know exactly what to do and how to get my apprenticeship done and dusted as soon as possible. It's very clear that the management here trust what I do. They will just give me a job, and they give me the empowerment to go out and finish that job. So in terms of expectations, when I joined the Royal Air Force, I thought it would be a lot more disciplined. I thought I'd have to march everywhere. It's a lot more relaxed than I thought it would be. Take every chance you get for adventure training, going out on deck, just using all the time you have to do as much as you can, because you really do get a lot of great opportunities.
So day to day, I work on typhoons like you see behind me. Go in, we'll speak up to our management after they've been given their brief, and they'll start delegating jobs. These jobs can range from anything from just going out and making sure the jet's serviceable and good to fly, to pulling that ejection seat out, to loading any missiles or bombs or fuel tanks that are needed for that day. No day is the same, although it is the same task, and it's just always a group of people having fun while doing your work. So we're here where I done my initial 5A6 training, which allowed me to put the armament equipment onto the jet, and it helped enhance my hand skills and knowledge for around the weapon systems on the jet. So for in here, you're here for 2 weeks completing your training, but it can go on longer if you do need the extra bit of training to help you through. While you're down here, everything is identical apart from all the explosives are made safe. They won't contain live explosives in with them. Everything's the same weight, all the electronics are the same. It's to simulate as much as possible that exactly what you'll be doing out in a flight line, just without any risk in case something goes wrong. This is where you want to be making mistakes, where if you scuff a missile, you scuff a bomb, it's not a big issue, whereas if you do that outside, it will cause other repercussions.
Ah, So you like figuring stuff out?
Huh?
Come on. Can you solve this?
Yeah.
Alright, clever clogs. Maybe you're more protective. Try protecting space.
Possible satellite breakup. Copy.
Or are you chill enough to fly that?
Fly that thing. No, this thing.
Everyone's got that one thing they were born to do. Find your force in the RAF.
So I chose to join the RAF as it provides a really varied career that offers opportunities through training and travelling to develop yourself for the future. I'm Harry and I'm an Air Traffic and Weapons Controller Sergeant in the Royal Air Force. So we work with primary radar systems and secondary radar systems similar to what the civilians use. This is all fed into the tower where we have radar equipment, and we also use specialist communication systems to communicate with the airborne assets. So day to day it can be different throughout the tower. There are many positions that we can conduct within the radar and visual control rooms. Due to the dynamic nature of helicopters, it requires a lot of forward thinking on what they're going to do because there's so many surfaces that they can use. They don't require the full length of the runway, so you can have multiple assets working to the same area at the same time. So you need to have a good understanding of the different types of aircraft that you work with due to you're having to coordinate them regularly, so you need to know their relative airspeeds just to make sure that you can keep your separation distance, and there's pertinent safety implications for some aircraft due to the nature of their gear. So to become a qualified controller, you conduct the Joint Air Traffic Controllers course at RAF Shawbury, commonly known as JATSI, which is approximately a 9-month course where it's split down into 2 phases. One's a radar phase where you conduct radar training through exercises, and then once you've completed that, you go on to the visual training at the end. The most challenging thing about training was the intensity. There's a quick learning curve, but at the same time it's rewarding as you're learning and applying what you're being taught. The best thing about my role is the dynamic nature day to day. There's so many opportunities to do varied things within not just the tower, but also get myself out on station and perform other duties. It's such a great opportunity with so many varied roles that you can go into in the future. Not just through training, there's opportunities for education, for travel. Myself, I've been away to Germany and Scotland, varied locations through the RAF.
Hello, welcome back to Parents' Evening live from RAF Cranwell. My name is Harry Benjamin. Thank you if you joined us for our first session all about how to prepare for the RAF, and that's essentially what we're going to be discussing throughout this session and the next session, although in this one we're going to be looking about what to expect from basic training, and I've got two very qualified people alongside me to talk all about it. Joining me is Flight Sergeant Adam Cooper and Sergeant Jasmine Dixon. Thank you so much for taking the time out firstly to join me. Adam, I'll come to you first. Before we get into the nitty-gritty about basic training, if you just give us a bit of an idea about your journey so far with the RAF and what you do.
Okay, yeah, I joined in February 1998 as RAF Police. I did that for a little while before moving to aircrew. And then I went and was a weapon system operator, loadmaster on Puma for a little while. Then moved to search and rescue. So I did search and rescue for a few years before changing once again to join the ISTAR Force with Reaper for the last 5-6 years, and then recently moved to 45 Squadron, which is where I find myself now, which is instructing Phase 2 trainees to be the future of our weapon systems operators on a number of platforms.
Wow, so I've been over 25 years and clearly a wide variety involved in doing. We'll come back and dive a little bit more into that. Jazz, if I come to you as well, a bit about you and your role.
So I joined up in 2016 as same as an RAF copper.
Both coppers.
Yeah, but I was a dog handler. So I was a dog handler for about 5 years. Did a couple of years in the UK, and then I was based out at RAF Apprenticeship for a couple of years. As the sole drugs handler out there, and then I came back from the Falklands and decided I wanted to become a weapon systems operator, and here I am now going through Phase 2 training, going to be an acoustics operator.
Wow, so actually I'll pick you up on that first of all, because we talk about Phase 1, Phase 2, what does that mean, what's involved, how does that work itself out?
So Phase 1 training is when you first join up, so back in 2016 when I went through at RAF Halton, and you'll do 10 weeks, basically going from a civilian going to military. So you'll do everything from ironing, and then you'll be like out in the field, you'll learn how to do rifle training, basically just to get you in the mindset of joining the military. And then Phase 2, that depends what role you go for. So for example, when I went on to do dog handling, you have to do 6 months at Southwark Park and do all like the police training, and then you do 3 weeks as an actual dog handler. So it's more specialised than the basic training. And then from now, what I'm doing, there's a lot of courses as a weapon systems operator to go through, but the more you go through, the more specialised it gets. So at the moment, I'm on the advanced course.
Did you always have that set in your sights if that's what you wanted the end result to be? Because going from a dog handler to suddenly working weapon systems seems like quite a jump.
Yeah, since I was 18, I've wanted to go weapon systems operator. There's been a few reasons why it's taken longer, but there's called the computer-based aptitude test that you have to do, and I didn't pass those initially, which is why I was like, okay, let's find a new role, become a dog handler, and then came back from the Falklands. I was like, right, time to do it again, and then did it and passed. So yeah,
amazing. Wow. Well, I'll come back to you, Adam, as well, because 25 plus years in the RAF. I suppose the term basic training is a bit sort of generic, also a bit daunting as well. What can people expect from basic training? I suppose, what was it like back then when you first started, and how has it changed? I suppose you would have seen that over the years. Yeah,
I mean, you could say it's a bit of a culture shock. I can't say I'm from a military family. The closest I got is an uncle that were a policeman, which were my inspiration for joining the RAF police when I joined up. I had no sort of preconceived ideas of what that would entail. You do watch a lot of films where you get the impression that you get shouted at a lot, and you've got to do lots of ironing and shining shoes and all that kind of thing.
Ironing really comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's to the Phase 1 style, and when you go through is to convert you from being a civilian into something that is a military product. It teaches you a lot about teamwork, how to rely on each other, and I think that's probably still the same all the way back from when I went through Phase 1 training at Halton back in '98 to when Jazz went through more recently, and the guys that are coming through there now. So it just evolves. and that's what I would say about all the system along, you know, in that last 25 years. It may be different, and I couldn't honestly tell you, Harry, about, because I've not gone back to phase 1 training in Halton, and I'm sure there is differences, but yeah, it's good. The end product is what we want, is to be a more disciplined person that, you know, can work as a team.
And you've gone obviously from recruit to now instructor. You're the perfect person to give advice, I suppose, on this kind of thing. For somebody about to embark on basic training, what would you say to them to be prepared for what they need to do?
I think is to keep an open mind, be prepared to work hard, be prepared to work hard for each other. And as I said to a lot of the trainees that I see on 45 Squadron, it's, you know, it gives me a unique perspective on going through that training system, as Jazz will, because it tends to change. So I've sat through various training systems all the way through Halton in phase 1 to you know, the Puma OCU, going through Benson, going through...
What exactly is that? What does that involve, the Puma OCU?
So for like Jasmine's path now, when she's finishing this part of training, which trains you to be a weapons system operator, so understanding how an oil system works, understanding, you know how the environment you're going to find yourself in, weather, and everything else. That's in phase 1, and then the OCU, or the Operation Conversion Unit, whether that's going through to a P8, or whether that's a Reaper, or whether that's a helicopter in my OCU on Puma, takes the basic knowledge as a building block, and then you're just putting onto that, you know, before I did the Puma OCU, I had to be a rotary crewman, which were at Shawbury, which was quite a long course, and then I went through and did the OCU, which is another 6 months, and you're just using them building blocks, as Jazz is finding now, basic training, then phase 2 training to learn the basic systems, and then you'll go through the end where you'll learn the nuances of the job, and on to phase 3, which is when you're producing, you know, when you're working as somebody in a job full time.
All right, and Jazz, you say obviously you're in phase 2. You're putting these blocks in place at the moment. How are you finding it? And is there anything that sort of surprised you so far?
Not really surprised me at the moment, because there's been so many different courses that we've had to go through. For example, like ground school, where you learn all about principles of flight and the basics, like you know, lift, drag, and all that kind of stuff. And then it goes on to like survival courses, and now I'm on the advanced phase. So at the moment, it's just, you know, it's just really great at the moment. So I'm enjoying it, and then got flying phase next year, so that'll be good.
That'll be amazing. Now, I imagine because you were in RAF Police as well, the phase that you had to go through there, phase 2 of that, is that quite similar to what you're going through now, or completely different? Are you able to carry over skills?
It was unusual coming back into training, because obviously when you're out in the in the RAF, it is a lot different. But a lot of it's good to have prior knowledge. Definitely, like I'm happy that I've taken that route, and I've, you know, been in 5 years, and now I'm doing this because I feel just a lot more prepared and relaxed in certain situations that other people might, you know, not be as relaxed. But yeah, it's good at the moment.
Is there a day-to-day for you, or is it different every time?
On the acoustics course, it's split into 2. So we've just done the first 7 weeks of the analysis phase, which is learning all about lopograms and all of the analysis side.
I imagine you sort of sat in a classroom doing this.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a classroom, I mean, now we've moved to another classroom.
Lovely.
For the next phase, but it's more of a practical phase of which we'll then be able to put into practice when we go to the OCU and actually do it for real.
And then Adam, your day-to-day, I imagine, is similar?
Yes, it's very classroom based, and we have sims as well. So I head up what's known as advanced land. So if you're going on to, it tends to be the RAF platforms that have a camera. So we teach people how to operate a camera. So that's split more into the basics and fundamentals of things like the IR spectrum, you know, how cameras work, things about GPS, and all the fundamentals that go with operating a camera and other things on platforms, through to, we've got a simulator, and I've got to say, just coming off the front line, it's pretty good, it's pretty cool, and the feedback that I got from the guys that just went through is, it's really good, they really enjoy it, and they enjoy trying to put what we've taught them in the academic phase through to a more simulator-based product.
What would you say is the most challenging part of basic training that most people come a bit of a cropper on?
Is this basic training, Harry, or is it throughout anything?
Well, both maybe. Let's go both.
I think the transition, I think if you're talking from being a civilian to coming into a military, so being told what to do constantly, you know, raising your standards, you know, being told what to do on a day-to-day basis, and if you're used to that, it's a very easy transition. The fitness is part and parcel of it, so we expect you to be physically fit, to be good at your job through phase 1, and then, you know, what's expected in the second part, what people find hard is just we try, because what I would say for everybody coming through is we've sat in that chair, we know how hard it is, and we're going to progressively make it harder by giving you various things to do. People find other things easy, like talking on a radio. You would think that's really easy, but when you've got a lot of pressure on you, and you're probably nervous about being examined all the time, it becomes more difficult. Added into that, you're learning new terminology for how you see things and express things on a radio to your crew and to external agencies. It just builds in difficulty, but what we've seen throughout, certainly from a land perspective, is the guys really enjoy it in the end, being able to put together everything they've learnt so far into a, you know, final handling test with a simulator. So yeah, amazing.
They get, I suppose, the encouragement and the confidence knowing that the people instructing them have also been through that exact same process as you said. Was there anything, if you can think back 25 years, that you found really difficult personally?
You know, let me see.
How good's the memory?
Yeah. I think fatigue. And I think it's different now. We're a bit more alert to the fact that, you know, you're putting young guys through quite a hard system. So the lack of sleep, and back in '98, when you were having to, you know, produce, you know, like sewing labels on things. I can't say I was particularly good at sewing things, and neither am I now. 25
I was
years
say, what's
on.
it like now? Yeah.
So you end up stabbing yourself several times. Some people find it easy, but I was one of the ones that were up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning trying to sew labels on, so that then it would be inspected the next day. You might have to then operate, you know, on 4 or 5 hours sleep to then go at it again the next day. However, that does prepare you for later on, you know, in my time in helicopters, when you had to deliver goods and perhaps you didn't get the best night's sleep, or you had to be sort of fatigue resistant. So yeah.
Can you fail basic training?
Yeah.
You can. Can you come back? Do you get another shot?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's not like it. Some people think it's very black and white, you know. But what I would say throughout any stage of training that I've seen is the will try and get you through a system. And from a phase 2 perspective, it is. There's some, we have a set, we mark people on a set criteria, and you either can or you can't do it. But what I would say about that, and it's a reflection probably in phase 1 training at Halton and everywhere else, is it's not just a case that you've not made the grade, you're out. It's a case of how do we get, you know, this young person through, and how can we adapt training to do that. But there is a set criteria of you've got to be good enough to do a job.
And Jazz, I suppose going through it now, as we say, it's great to have sort of the two, or not opposites, but one who's done it, one who's going through it at the same time. Is there anything that you'll particularly find difficult or found challenging? Adam mentions the fatigue, the training.
Fatigue is, you know, a big one. I think it just depends what course you do. For example, I did a sea drills course.
What's that?
Very ill.
What does that involve?
It's just survival training in the sea on a life raft. See if you can, you know, do all that. But it was a bad day. It was very choppy. So it just all depends what course you do. But to be honest, I personally think if you've got the right attitude, like from the previous question in regards to failing, as long as you've got the right attitude, pretty much you will be able to succeed it.
Amazing. I think even on the best of days in the sea, that would be a bit of a difficult one to manage. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back to you. But now we're going to have a look at one of the many roles that you might well end up doing if you enter the RAF, and one that Jazz is currently training for at the moment, the weapons system operator role. Here's a little bit about what is involved.
as an acoustics warfare operator, I'm directly involved with protection of the nuclear deterrent.
We've proven how vital it can be for patrolling the seas, not only around our own nation, but across the globe as well.
I'm Barnsey.
My name is Josh.
And I'm a weapon systems operator within the Royal Air Force. Day to day, it's constant training and preparation, discussing about tactics, how we can do things better, working in synthetic environments to harness our skills so that when we do get airborne, we're able to deliver capable air power.
On the days where you are flying, you do the briefs beforehand, and then you go up flying for about 6 to 8 hours, and then you land and do the debrief. When you are flying, it can be long days, but you're constantly doing stuff throughout that whole day, so it can go quite quickly, especially once you're used to it.
The opportunity of being a weapon system operator is quite varied. We do a lot of electronic intelligence gathering, collections, and you can fly on multiple different platforms. So you can go into helicopters and other fixed-wing assets such as the A400M, for example. So my job role as an acoustic specialist would be to analyze different submarine signatures, and from that information we would then pass that up to our leaders for strategic impact.
We very much work in a team. There's between 8 and 9 crew members at a time when you're flying. We're all talking to each other. It's all mainly first name basis. There's no rank, and we all just work really well together and get the job done.
It's great. It's good fun. You're working with your mates. You're having a good laugh, but you also have professionalism amongst the crew. So everybody's eager to do the job that's asked of them, but also have good camaraderie.
There's loads of opportunities. There's lots to do up here, and the RAF does provide many routes to do adventure training and to do sports as well.
The Royal Air Force has taken me around the world. I've been very fortunate from my time on Nimrods, where we were doing exercises in the Mediterranean. I then went to Australia. From Australia, explored Southeast Asia, Hawaii a few times. Since being on Poseidon, we did our training out in Florida for 6 months, and we've also recently just did our first exercise overseas in Sicily this year. So the opportunity is there to get out and about for sure.
Traits, I'd have to say, you need to be good at multitasking, you need to be good at working in a team, and you also need some leadership qualities as well, because you never know whenever you might have to step up and take control of a situation.
Brilliant there to get a little insight into one of the roles at the RAF Weapons Systems Operator. Now, welcome back to Parents' Evening from RAF Cranwell. We've got another game to play, although this time it doesn't require me standing up and testing my reactions. I'm not playing, well I am playing, but you two are going to be playing the picture description game. Yeah. Now, you've both chosen from my cue card list here a activity or a list from my list. They're all phase 1 activities that would be covered in basic training. So hopefully that helps you out. It might not help me out, but hopefully it helps you out. And, well, draw away, and we'll try and guess what they are, and maybe have a little chit-chat about what they involve as well. So, come on then. I think just start drawing.
This.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a bit of a rectangle going on.
Not CPR.
Something medical.
First aid.
First aid. Oh, that was a record. Right, hang on, let me check which one was it. I don't want to feel. Yeah, correct. First aid. All right. Is that fairly basic then? Is that one of the first things you might learn? First aid.
No, it's one of the last things
really?
that you learn. Yeah.
Oh, do you know why, or just that's the order of it?
It's in the field craft phase, so the end of it when you're with the regiment.
Okay. What else does that fieldcraft phase involve?
Everything from yes, you've got your first aid. You learn how to obviously fire the rifles. You learn all fieldcraft, and then you'll do the final exercise at the end where you put everything that you've learned together. And then it's all about learning how to eat like the ration packs, and learn everything like that out in the field.
Amazing. All right. Well, I believe you picked one earlier as well. So now it's your turn. How are your drawing skills? Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Now, we're careful. Remember, got to sort of show it to everybody watching if you can. Are you going to run? You got it? Oh, it's up there. There you go. Yeah, I found that confusing at first too. Okay, right. When you're ready, in your own time, Jazz, off you go. So this is going to be a phase 1 activity from basic training. What on earth is that? Boats? Like a rowing? Oh.
Wow. I mean, you've not
is it
given me
like
much to go on there, Jazz.
A plane seems too advanced for phase 1.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
It's not a SA-80. Is it a rifle?
Yes. Oh.
Yes. Okay. So it's going to be basics of rifle training, shooting.
Rifle training. Let's have a look. It is indeed rifle training. Correct. That is a rifle. So
or a squashed bunny.
There are clearly no sort of drawing lessons in basic training, are there? No. So rifle training. Talk us through that then. I imagine it's fairly straightforward, but can any? I imagine
it is straightforward. But I remember it being quite feared. I'm not sure about you, but
I suppose if you've never held one before, right?
Yeah. Never holding a weapon before, through to it is important. Because you're firing live ammunition on a range. So the guys, we get taught by the guys, by RAF regiment guys, who do all our training for weapons, and they make this very serious throughout. And you've got to practice the drills, and there is certain drills that you've got to run through, and they expect you to be proficient and safe with a weapon. So it can be quite intimidating, but they hammer home the fact that this is serious, and they prepare you for it, and they were pretty good, and still are. And this is something that we do every year.
Yeah, I bet. And now we did whisk through that quite quickly. So if you're up for it, do you want to do another one? Absolutely right. I picked one for you, so it's easy. If you do that one on the far left.
Top one.
There, yeah, you got it. Don't look at him. Don't cheat. Right, okay. Right, so we've had rifle training and first aid. So two basics covered in phase 1 of basic training. Right, Jazz. Good luck with this one. I know what it is now, so I'll just tell you if you're right or not. So this is all on you, Adam.
Are you sure you picked the right person from the last drawing, Harry?
Well, I did it because she's already holding it.
Okay, yeah.
Right, in your own time, Jazz. The board is yours for the picture description game.
Just about.
The ink's running dry, to be fair. I don't know if we have a spare pen anywhere. No.
Is there someone laying down?
What? A river bed? No.
Moving forward. Okay.
Are you allowed to talk? Well, actually, for these, you are allowed to talk.
Yeah.
For the cases of what we're doing, yeah, absolutely, please talk.
Oh, is it? It's not like an entrance to a cave, is it?
Oh.
So crawling through a cave, caving?
Got it, caving.
Okay.
Bingo, nice one. Now, I've actually heard caving sounds quite scary. Like, I'm 6'5". I'm quite big. I imagine, what is this caving like? You've got to go through really tight spaces, or is it quite broad?
You wouldn't catch me for all the...
You wouldn't do it?
No, this wasn't for me. And
do you get the option then, or...?
I'm not sure. I mean, you would have to speak to Jazz about phase 1 now, but we do adventure training, so part of it along with the process when you go through different forms of training is you do get opportunities to do adventure training, and in that, I mean, I remember going coast steering down on the south coast, mountain biking, even I think skiing. So that you get lots of opportunities to do adventure training, and caving's one of them. But I would force myself to do it, but I'm like you, and I'm not 6'5", but I would get very nervous.
Just small spaces as well. Just doesn't sound. Have you done it yet, or? Well, yes, of course you would have had, or not.
Luckily, I didn't have to.
Oh, you got away with it.
Yeah. So you go to Crickhowell on basic training, and they split you into groups, and you do things like mountain biking, climbing, hill. I think it's like hill walking, or just general mountaineering. But we were in the group that didn't do the caving. which was lucky. Some people love it. Like, it can be really good, and co-steering is like amazing. But it's that's one thing I'm not.
Well, some people make it a whole
not
career
for.
these days,
Yeah,
caving. You know, you see it all the time online. And actually, if you head to, well, coming soon to Not Going to Uni, the team have been out doing some of that adventure training themselves to bring you what it's like. I wasn't invited on that one. I think I was too big for the caving, clearly. But that's something to look out for on Not Going to Uni. And everything you've heard as well, if you've got any more information or questions, you can check out the Not Going to Uni website and online at RAF, the website as well. I think we've got time for another one. I think it's your go again for another one. Right. You're going to have to...
Do we have another pen?
Do we have another pen? No, we don't. Is it completely... Is it done?
It's all right, we can
Should
do
we
this.
power through?
We can do this.
We'll power through. We'll do one more. Or we could do charades. Or the hand description game, as we should refer to it as. Now, I think you should do that far one on there, that one. Because that's, because I can show you that one without showing you the others. Okay, when you're ready.
You're ready.
Let's play the picture description game. Oh, and the pen is really not working for us, is it? Go for use the hands if that's easier.
Is it mountaineering? No.
Oh, you're still guessing. Use the hands. Well, there is a bit of an outline going.
A tent, camping.
Oh, how did you
really?
get that?
Yes.
How? There's nothing on that whiteboard. How did you get camping?
It was the
training works.
Yeah.
Now, I personally hate camping, but I imagine this isn't quite like your family holiday camping.
No.
No. Did you get out this one as well? Were you able to do it?
No, this one was great. They do like kind of the camping kind of thing on basic training, and that goes along with the walking and kind of the navigation stuff, and then you camp at night. But the kind of camping gets, the more as you get into the aircrew world, you do like survival thing where you get to make your own shelters, and it's not camping at all. It's more survival
Just
training.
survival, yeah.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
It was hard, but it's good.
I bet. I can only imagine.
I mean, it was good when you finished it. Yeah,
the satisfaction, I'm sure, is
Yeah.
pretty good. Some of the other ones that you could have had: hill walking, high ropes, marching. We had first aid, inspections. What's inspections?
Yeah, inspections is just to check that your standards are high enough. So we had a thing. You sort of got sick of the term attention to detail when you went through training, and that's mirrored in all stages of training. So right from when you arrive at Halton in phase 1, and certainly for aircrew and weapon systems operators, they'll stress the importance of attention to detail, and it's making you look for things, because in an airborne environment, when you're on an aircraft, you could be the person, when you're paying attention to your aircraft, you could find that a panel's open, which could save the lives of the crew. So it's being able to look for the little things all the time. So when you're going through training and somebody looks under a sink and says you've not put brasso on a screw, you might have a bit of reluctance to that. But there is a point to it, and that point is it's making you look for things and raise your standards, certainly in an aircrew world. And
Marching in a similar line to that as well. I've been at this RAF base for a few hours. People don't go around marching sort of here, there, and everywhere, or do they? Or should they be?
Not if I can help it. Yeah. I mean, marching's a strange one. Is you do think at the time, why am I doing this? But at the end of that, when you see it back in a video, it makes you immensely proud when you finish and you've marched as a team, and it embodies that. You working together through Halton, and that could be with 30 or 40 other people. You're all in time. You're all doing the same things at the same time, and it's impressive. And it's something that you wouldn't see from a civilian, in a civilian life, is the fact that you've been effectively drilled to march all at the same time, because you're following a system altogether.
Right. Well, and the last two were map reading and graduation, which I think are fairly self-explanatory. Look, we're pretty much nearly out of time. A final line from you both about, what to expect from basic training. Any advice that you would give somebody who is about to embark on it?
Enjoy it. Enjoy it changes. So when I joined up in '98, I've done a different job more or less every 5 years. And I've been privileged to have the opportunity to do lots of different things in the Air Force. Keep an open mind, and when you see an opportunity, go for it.
Jazz?
just absolutely make the most of anything, like any opportunity that comes up, absolutely just go for it. And yeah, as was said, keep an open mind and just have a good time.
Amazing. And get better at your drawing as well. I think that's,
yeah.
they need to add that into phase one, I think. Yeah. Look, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you taking the time. I think we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot just for what to expect in basic training. I hope you have as well. Any questions as well, do let us know. You can find more information, as I say, on the Not Going to Uni website and on the RAF website as well. We'll be back in about 30 minutes time for our final session, Life After Your Apprenticeship. So do come back and join us in about half an hour's time for that one. But thank you, Adam, Jazz, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes.
Once you get in here and you start to get embedded and meet the people, you start to identify that it's actually a gem of a place to live.
There's plenty of adventure training to do up here, especially hiking and mountain biking. But on top of that, there is also RAF flying clubs that offer subsidised, non-for-profit flying training for anyone that wants to get their pilot's licence.
Welcome back to RAF Clearing Live, brought to you by Not Going to Uni, and the final talk, which was all about the application process, everything you need to know about how to apply for apprenticeships and roles within the RAF. And I was joined by James and Thomas from the recruitment team at RAF. The application process. What's the first thing somebody should do? They're sitting at home right now, they've got their A-level results, maybe they've gone well, maybe they haven't, or maybe they're younger and just trying to figure out what opportunities are available to them. They found the right apprenticeship or the right scheme for them. What's the next steps?
The first and probably the most important thing is get yourself onto the RAF Careers website and have a look and just make sure that you've got the educational qualifications for the job that you want. You might not have got them, got the grades that you wanted today, however there are job roles available regardless of your educational qualifications, from no A-levels up to specialist law degrees, doctorates and stuff like that. So there's a good spread. That would be your first real port of call, is get yourself on the RAF website, make sure you've got what you need for the job role you've chosen. If you haven't, there's almost like a little tool that you can go through to say, here's my educational qualifications and my sort of hobbies and interests, and it almost matches you to some job roles as well. So yeah, the RAF website is the best bet to start with.
Okay, so that's quite handy if it matches you and gives you a specific maybe hints as to what might suit you. So can we actually break it down into, you've picked an apprenticeship role, what's the first thing you're going to be asked to do? Is it fairly similar with university or UCAS things? Have you got to write a personal statement? How many rounds are there? Can we go through it step by step in that way?
Yeah, of course. So nothing too arduous or anything that requires a personal statement or anything. We'll send you a number of requests for information, so things like your national insurance number, or just basic pieces of information that we need to collate your application, really. Once we've got all of those, we'll invite you into the careers office, give you a bit of a presentation, explain to you the length of the process, what you can expect from the process, how to prepare for different elements of it, including the interview and the fitness test. And we'll also likely put you through your aptitude assessment the same day. Sorry. The aptitude assessment itself, it's 6 short psychometric tests measuring different parts of your cognitive capacity, essentially. Some are verbal reasoning, there's numerical reasoning. A couple of them are geared more towards technical trades. So if you're interested in any of the engineering branches that we have apprenticeships for, There's electrical and mechanical comprehension tests too. Then once we've got those scores, we look to make sure you've scored for the trade that you want, and then we continue the process towards the interview from there.
Have you got to be already quite fit before thinking about joining?
So normally from starting your application to getting you to the fitness test takes around about 3 to 4 months. So on the RAF website we do have a guide to fitness that's geared over a 12-week program. So really if you start your application and start that fitness program, if you're already at a base fitness level, i.e. you can walk up a couple of flights of stairs and you're good to go, you can follow that 12-week program and get to where you need to be, hopefully at the first attempt. If you're not successful at the first attempt, we can get you back in 6 to 8 weeks time, and that's generally sort of people that don't pass at the first attempt do get through at the second attempt once they've had that rehab session.
Oh, right.
Program.
So Thomas, coming back to you, is there a lot of assistance then along the way with prospective applicants and helping guide them through the process at the same time, or are they left a bit on their own for their own devices?
No, so every applicant is assigned their own recruiter, so that recruiter is available via phone, email, instant message on their application portal to get in touch with any questions or concerns, anxieties they might have throughout the process.
Would you encourage people to, if they're applying to the RAF, is that something that requires their sole focus, or are they able to also look around at other places as well? Is it so intensive that actually, if you're going to do it, it needs to be all in or not at all?
So I would always recommend that never give anything up because you've got an RF application in, because there are failure points during the application. You might get through and decide that it's not for you, and if you've invested all of your time in that, what opportunities have you missed out on? So we get it a lot with year 10 and 11 students that come through with applications about, I'm not going to go to college, I'm just going to join the Air Force, and it's not a case of just because you've started an application doesn't mean you're going to get a job. So think about the what ifs. At any point you fail a medical, you fail your fitness test, what's your backup option, just to keep yourself going on the straight and narrow, so to speak.
Yeah. For more information, head online and search RAF Careers, or you can go to our website, notgoingtouni.co.uk. I've been Harry Benjamin. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Welcome back to RAF Clearing Live, brought to you by Not Going to Uni. Ahead of us now was the third panel session, a Q&A with one of the current apprentices here at the RAF, Ryan Hall, to describe exactly what life is like as an apprentice. I'm very pleased to say Ryan Hall is joining me for this one, a current apprentice, to talk about all about the apprenticeships that are on offer. A lot of people go to university for the uni life. You know, they want the social life, they want to move away from home for a bit, they want to get stuck in. Is that the same at the RAF? Can you have a bit of a social life too?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I go home on weekends, for example, which at Canstown base. There's a bar on base on every camp, really, so there's a social element. We've just had the junior ranks ball here. That was all right. It was good.
Right.
No, it was good. It was good. It was good. And there's obviously other social events that we do. I mean, the other week we did a force development day where we went quad biking on a Thursday afternoon. So we did half a day's work, then we went quad biking as a team. So that was good.
Nice. And the beauty of it is, we've discussed it already on our previous panels, but unlike university where you are going to get into debt, all of a sudden you've got to pay a lot of money. Here, if you join the RAF, you're earning straight away, which I imagine is a massive plus. Yeah,
going through phase 2, it was essentially going to college. Obviously, you've still got the military aspect and the little, the sacrifice a little bit you have to make and stuff like that. But I was getting paid to essentially go to college still for 10 months, and then I've come out with I'm about to finish my apprenticeship now, which is another level 3 qualification.
You said you're 20, right? Yeah. So you're not going to be that much older than some of the people watching this who are getting their results today and thinking about their plans for the future. What advice would you give, having been in that situation yourself, to somebody going through the same motions as you were?
So what I would say is, uni's not everything. I think if you want to make money straight away and earn qualifications, I think this is a very good, apprenticeships in general are a very good opportunity. And you can get a degree through working basically in here. It is good. So you can get the qualifications in here, work. I mean, for joining up, I got a £5 bonus for this trade, so that was it's a massive incentive, financial incentive anyway.
One thing we'd like to do in these panels so far is be upfront and honest about what it's like joining the RAF. It's not easy. I imagine you've had your challenges along the way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's times before joining the RAF, I'd never ironed a shirt. Or, like, genuinely, I'd never done anything like that. So
And
to
it's hard.
Yeah, the way that they want us to do it. So I'd never done anything like that before. As a stay-at-home kind of thing and all that, and just to get thrown into it and learn from rock bottom to I've established like just normal skills which I'd need for the future, like ironing, just wash everything. Do you know what I mean? Like typical home skills. I mean, you really, I could genuinely. Well, I do live by myself now on the block, so I've got my own room. So I cook myself, do everything myself.
Got your own
now.
ironing board?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I know.
For those watching, and for what you've been through with this apprenticeship already, still go, finishing it in November, having done it already for a year or so, how would you summarise what it's like to be a part of the RAF and to do an apprenticeship for somebody who had absolutely no idea?
It's a journey. It's definitely a journey. I wouldn't change it. I'm glad I did it. It's definitely, I'm not thinking, I'm regretting it. I'm really proud to do it. The apprenticeship is now leading on, obviously, to a foundation degree, hopefully, and then top that up with honours, as well as, I essentially got paid to go to college and do this apprenticeship, and we're not on apprenticeship wages, so it was a very good wage to go to college.
Some of the panellists we've had already are much more experienced than you, obviously, in that they've spent plus 20 years in the RAF. Could you see yourself spending as much time as that?
Potentially. I don't want to put a time frame. I don't think it's a good idea to do that, but definitely potentially. Obviously, for myself, if you go in those ranks, you've also got the option to commission if you want to do that and become an officer. That's also a route by doing the foundation degree, if that's what you want to do. I'm not sure if I'll do it, who knows, but it's a job security and longevity, definitely. You can really get a good career here.
And some final words of advice for those watching or just tuning in now, thinking about the RAF as an option, looking at the apprenticeships on offer, some final words of advice to them, because you were in that very same situation.
Yeah. Learn how to iron before you go to a basic trade. No, just throw yourself at it. I mean, you don't have to be like a massive personality. You don't have to be confident or anything like that. But they will get it out of you, and you definitely develop a personality. You develop yourself, life skills, mechanical skills, like you said earlier. It is great. You're pushed, which is I like. You're pushed to get more out of you.
For more information, head online and search RAF Careers, or you can go to our website, notgoingtouni.co.uk. I've been Harry Benjamin. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
So I joined the Royal Air Force because I didn't really know what to do as a career when I was younger. And talking to my dad, he used to be in the RAF, and he would tell me these stories about what he got up to and what he did, and I wanted to have a go. Hi, I'm Josh. I've been in the RAF for about 2 years now, and I'm an aircraft technician mechanical. So as an aircraft technician mechanical, I work with the mechanical aspects of the aircraft, hydraulics, anything to do with servicings, removal and replacement of components, functional tests of those components to see if the aircraft's working after you've ripped something out and put it back in. So the training of the Royal Air Force was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. The theory side, the maths, the science was challenging, but with the group you get with your family, they get you through. You work together as a team, revise, and yeah, you get through. So currently my apprenticeship is in progress, but the apprenticeship cell is getting me through. They're very helpful. They know exactly what to do and how to get my apprenticeship done and dusted as soon as possible. It's very clear that the management here trust what I do. They will just give me a job, and they give me the empowerment to go out and finish that job. So in terms of expectations, when I joined the Royal Air Force, I thought it would be a lot more disciplined. I thought I'd have to march everywhere. It's a lot more relaxed than I thought it would be. Take every chance you get for adventure training, going out on deck, just using all the time you have to do as much as you can, because you really do get a lot of great opportunities.
Once you get in here and you start to get embedded and meet the people, you start to identify that it's actually a gem of a place to live.
There's plenty of adventure training to do up here, especially hiking and mountain biking. But on top of that, there is also RAF flying clubs that offer subsidised, non-for-profit flying training for anyone that wants to get their pilot's licence.
The thing that attracted me most was the diversity of what you can do within the role itself. My name is Kieran, and I'm a supply, storage and distribution specialist. As a supply, storage and distribution specialist, you'll be working as a crucial part of getting the aircraft off the ground. One of them being in tech stores, where you're sorting the kit out and distributing it to relevant sections. You can be in fuels, which you can have two different sides to that. There is the AV fuels, where you're working alongside the aircraft, refueling them, and then there's the side which is ground fuels, and then there's the mobility support flight. There's also SCAF, which is a controlled accounting flight, where you'll be doing more of an office-based job. My initial expectation of going into training was that you'd be on your own, and it would be sort of individual, trying to get yourself through the course, but in actual fact you're just one big team trying to get each other through. My phase one consisted of working together as a team and about military lifestyle. During your phase two training, it is more geared towards the actual trade that you're going into. You'll get taught on a basic level everything that you need to know. You'll go through different exams, practical and theory, but of course you will always get help from your supervisors, your corporals and sergeants whenever you need it. For myself, it wasn't a challenge adopting to the RAF lifestyle, because once I had looked at the role, looked at what the RAF had to offer for me, the lifestyle is what attracted me to the job. One of the best things about the apprenticeship is that I was offered a 12-year contract from the start. You've got job security right at the end of the apprenticeship, so you don't have to worry yourself about going into another job. And you can just develop your career from that point onwards, so it's a really good starting point.
Hello, welcome back to Parents' Evening live from RAF Cranwell this evening. My name is Harry Benjamin. We're into our final session now, all about life in the RAF that we've covered so far, going through basic training, the assessments, what to expect, and now we get to life after your apprenticeship. And I've got two even more qualified people than me, qualified people all evening long so far, obviously, and we continue that trend. And joining me is Air Specialist Technician Ewan Payne and Flying Officer Lewis King. Ewan, I'll come to you first, if I might, if you could give us a bit of a background about what it is you do and how you sort of joined the RAF and your journey so far.
Hi, I'm Ewan. I'm an aircraft technician, mechanical in the Royal Air Force. I've been in for about 6.5 years now, and I'm currently posted in Oxfordshire.
Lovely. And Lewis, what about yourself?
So I've also been in around 6 years. I'm currently posted to RAF Marham, having been brought up from Benson after my commissioning.
Very nice. Now, we're obviously with not going to uni, you can check out all the information there, and life after an apprenticeship is the main thing that we're going to be discussing here, but also the build-up to it as well. Can you talk us a bit about your journey so far in that regard? Because although actually, Lewis, because of your sort of officer role, it isn't actually offered or advertised on not going to uni, but it just shows that there are still ways in even without a degree.
Oh, absolutely. So I didn't have a degree. I did my sixth form qualifications and then joined straight up. And after 4 years already serving, I then took my commission across, having done my apprenticeship whilst I was in the other ranks.
And so what was that process like to go through? Did you feel quite prepared for it? Talk us through the journey and the stumbling blocks.
So being in the career path that it did set me up quite well within the RAF. Sort of internally transferring across to the commission side. Stumbling blocks that I found was getting back into that training routine for me, especially having done 4 years and then coming back into that phase 1 training establishment here at Cranwell, and then sort of starting my career again.
Well, you say you started it again, so your plans clearly changed. This wasn't sort of something you wanted to do from the get-go, or was there always something in the back of your mind that was going to lead you this way?
Yeah, there was something in the back of mind that I did want to commission, and then I applied. The same selection process as everybody else does, and here we are now, 2 years later. 2 years later,
here we are. And Ewan, coming back to you now, you're a gold medal winner, I hear. Not Olympic-wise, but talk us through the gold medal scenario for you.
So I recently took part in the 46th International World Skills Competition. I represented the United Kingdom in aircraft maintenance.
So pretty close to Olympic standard then, yeah.
We like to call it the Olympics of skills.
Amazing.
And as you said, won the gold medal.
And so how did that opportunity come about then?
So actually, it was when I was going through my phase 3 training. I was selected by my line management because I was doing well in my course. They put me forward for the nationals, so I took part in the nationals in 2019. And since then, I've been involved with World Skills. Earlier this year, in March, I was selected to be the UK's representative, and since then, I've been more intensively training. And then, like I said, went to the finals and came away with the gold.
Amazing. And going back, you've now finished your apprenticeship, obviously, but if we go back and talk about why you chose, what apprenticeship you did exactly and why you chose it.
So I joined the Royal Air Force as ATEC M, or Aircraft Technician Mechanical. I went through on the previous scheme, which was an AMM scheme. So I did a shortened period of training, followed by some on-the-job training, and then returned back for phase 3. So vastly similar, actually, to his experiences of going back to training. But the newer scheme is actually slightly different. So you would do a longer period of technical training and then no further return.
Right, okay, interesting. So two quite different then routes into where we are at the moment. And Lewis, if I come back to you, because you mentioned deciding to commission. What does that actually mean? Can you break that down for us?
So what that essentially means is starting that career process again. So I still had to go to a careers office like everybody else did. I still had to complete my application online. And that would be the same as if I was walking in off the street, having just been to uni or done A-levels or whatever process led me there. That would be that same path. So going through those interviews and the application process, medicals, and the process to join the military.
And how
have you found the journey so far? I imagine we've spoken quite a lot today in our sessions about the challenges that people go through, all different kinds, obviously relating to fitness, relating and fatigue, but also I suppose mentally it can be quite challenging too. How have you found your journey so far?
Rewarding, in a word. So there are opportunities like the mechanical skills courses and a whole host of things that I wouldn't necessarily have had a chance to do both previously and now. So rewarding has been one of my key takers from that.
Amazing. What about you, Ewan?
For me, the opportunities that you get outside of or within the Air Force to do things that aren't necessarily in the Air Force. So I've undertaken an Eagle scheme for parachuting. So I did 19 jumps, all funded by the RAF as part of an AT scheme to sort of develop myself and overcome my fear of heights.
Amazing.
So all of these experiences that I've gained whilst being employed and obviously working in the Royal Air Force have made it that opportunity, the offer that the RAF give you that's what it's based around for me.
Now, I've heard a bit about these Eagle schemes. Can we expand on what exactly they are and what opportunities it gives you?
So an Eagle scheme is a venture training, or AT, as I'll probably refer to it, ongoing. And you can apply to do different schemes. So there would be maybe one for mountain biking, there would be caving, climbing. I did parachuting, so that involved me applying, going through the application process, putting in a personal statement and being selected to do it. So I was one of 5 who went to Weston-on-the-Green in Oxfordshire, and like I said, I did 19 jumps, which qualified me for the lowest level of qualification, so I can solo parachute.
Amazing.
Funded by the Air Force.
Well, I mean, and what a brilliant opportunity that gives you as well. And I'm hearing there's other opportunities, if people want to go skiing and things like that and learn how to face those sort of extreme temperatures and things like that. Of course, I know it's also a bit of fun at the same time, but it can be quite challenging. It sounds like you're pushed to your limits. It's not a holiday, but you are pushed to your limit. And I suppose that's one of the benefits of being a part of the RAF at this stage is you get to travel and you do get to see the world. You're not confined on a base when you get here. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, it's all part of the offer. It's one of the ways that the RAF develops you as well. So they offer these so that you can expand your skill set and, like I said, overcome a fear of heights or develop your team building skills or your management skills. So they're all linked back to a core skill that the RAF wants from you.
So what's next for you then? So life after an apprenticeship, how do you begin the process of deciding, first of all, where you want to go after you've done your apprenticeship, but then also thinking about, right, I'm in this role now, what lies ahead of me? Do you stick in that same role forever and just keep going? How does that work?
So that's quite a big question, really.
Yeah, so well, we've got time to fill.
So firstly, for me, what's next? I'm obviously living in Oxfordshire. I'm hoping to enjoy some more of the things that the RAF offers, so such as those Eagle schemes, because now that I have finished my apprenticeship, I can use the broader Air Force rather than having to focus so much on my studies. As for the part about transferring within the Royal Air Force, obviously you've seen my colleague here has managed that, but there are plenty of opportunities to transfer, often by going through an application process and using some of the skill set that you have previously, but to be able to move around in the Air Force and develop yourself in different trades.
And then I'll come to you as well, Lewis. A similar question, I suppose. You, as you say, you've been able to transfer and almost career change late in life, and the RAF has provided you with that opportunity. But where do you see things going now forward? How does the RAF support you moving forward?
So for me, I'm quite fortunate in that the branch that I'm in offers many doors, many opportunities working, with aircraft or in HQs or, UK based or around the world. So for me, next, at least, it'll be finding those right jobs, and then picking the ones that suit my personal skill set, as it were.
Now, you mentioned obviously the RAF, we talked about the Eagle schemes, they provide you with some amazing opportunities, but I suppose that is still within the RAF in terms of, we're talking about sort of debunking myths throughout these sessions, and I think one of the main things people picture, life in the RAF is maybe quite confined within the RAF. Do you get to have a life, family, pets, go on holidays? Does that work?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. It would. I don't think people would join otherwise.
Well, yeah.
So I work with many people, with wives, children, husbands, all in the civilian jobs, counterpart jobs. And it all based on personal circumstances. I know some families who move around the country, overseas, altogether. I know some families that base themselves in a location and the serving member commutes either daily or weekly. But there is always that support from that host station that the RAF does deliver to those families as and when they need it.
I think you were telling me earlier that you've got pets and you've got a family as well, so clearly you're able to make it work too. Is it a difficult balance at times?
Sometimes it is. Obviously there is that you are committed to the Air Force, and obviously there is that service need, but for me especially, I live in Services Family Accommodation, or SFA, so I have a house on base, I have a partner, I have 2 dogs and a cat. I have all of these things, and it doesn't interfere with my service life. I'm still able to carry out my role, but it's just that having that balance and being able to also do other things outside, like you say, there's always the opportunity.
And if, I suppose, you are called away and have to work, and you've got 2 dogs and a cat, is that right? What if nobody's around to look after them, for instance? Can the RAF provide you with help in that front, or do you have to sort of do it in a civilian perspective and put them into a kennels, that kind of thing, and still operate in that manner?
I would say it's quite different for pets as opposed to having children. There is obviously that childcare element, so the RAF provides very good childcare, especially with current policies coming in. Whereas for me, I would probably end up having a friend take care of them or something similar to that. But the childcare thing is something that's very beneficial. So later on in people's careers, if they do decide to have children and they are deployed, then the Royal Air Force does very much care for the families whilst they're away.
I'll look after the dogs. I'll give you my number. You'll be fine. But in terms of expectation as well, going through your journey within the RAF, has it met expectation? Has it been beyond your wildest dreams? Has there been worries that you've had that have been quelled since you first started?
So I am very appropriately with this, didn't go to uni and chose to join the Royal Air Force. I had a place on a degree and I chose to actually join up instead.
So what was the catalyst for that?
I decided that a more vocational route was more appropriate for me and my skills. I've always been a much more hands-on person, and through high school I didn't really have that much opportunity to talk to people about this sort of thing. And I decided, once I got my place, that it wasn't for me, and I looked into other options, and that led me to the Royal Air Force. And I'm very glad I did it. I very regularly say it's the best decision I ever made. I thoroughly enjoy my career. I've had so many chances to go to different countries and my world skills stuff. I've played lots of sport. I've used as many of the opportunities as possible, and it's been fantastic for me.
And the same question to you, Lewis, I suppose. Coming in, it gave you maybe a lifeline is to a dramatic word, but you were able to switch and do something you enjoyed and got a lot more challenge out of. Has that lived up to expectation, or were there? You've got to be brave to do that kind of thing. Actually, going from something completely different and then into the RAF.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school, so I didn't want to commit myself to a university course that perhaps I wouldn't get what I wanted to achieve at the end of it. And the RAF opened that door for me, if you like, to try new things, vocational skills, but also further down the line, if I choose to do a degree, the RAF can support me through that and fund it partially as well.
And any words of advice, I suppose, for anyone going through this stage in particular, after an apprenticeship or looking at what's going to come next when they're in the deciding moments? Have you got any advice?
I'd say at least be yourself during that application stage. There is no set mould of what the RAF expects of its people. Be yourself, be as open as you can be, and flourish with those skill sets and those different attributes that you may bring.
Ewan?
I'm going to be quite cliche and say make the most of the opportunities. Yeah. They are always there. You may need to find them. Some of them aren't necessarily as obvious, but they're usually the good ones because they're not hidden, but there's much fewer places, so they make them harder to get to, but they're definitely worth it.
Amazing. Well, look, there's certainly life after an apprenticeship. Absolutely, we can say that for certain. Thank you so much for taking the time. Stay there because we're going to come back to you a little bit later as well, but do a bit of a roundup. But now we've got another video for you looking at the different roles you can find yourself in a life after an apprenticeship, and a bit about what life is like on base as well. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
So I joined the Royal Air Force because I didn't really know what to do as a career when I was younger. And talking to my dad, he used to be in the RAF, and he would tell me these stories about what he got up to and what he did. And I wanted to have a go.
When I left university, I was out of ideas of what I really wanted to do afterwards. I kept chatting to some of my friends who had served or are currently serving. Their job sounded quite fun, different and enjoyable.
The thing that attracted me most was the diversity of what you can do within the role itself.
I'm Josh.
I'm Matt.
My name is Kieran.
And I'm an aircraft technician mechanical.
I'm a aircraft technician avionics.
And I'm a supply, storage and distribution specialist. You'll be working as a crucial part of getting the aircraft off the ground, supporting all the different sections that need to work directly on the aircraft itself. As a supply, storage and distribution specialist, you can do many different roles. One of them being in tech stores, where you're sorting the kit out and distributing it to relevant sections. You can be in fuels. There's the mobility support flight. There's also SCAF, which is a control accounting flight, where you'll be doing more of an office-based job.
So as an aircraft technician mechanical, I work with the mechanical aspects of the aircraft, hydraulics, anything to do with servicings, removal and replacement of components, functional tests of those components to see if the aircraft's working after you've ripped something out and put it back in.
So my role as an aircraft technician avionics is to look after all the electrical systems on the aircraft, including all the power, communications, navigation, radar and defensive systems.
My initial expectation of going into training was that you'd be on your own and it would be sort of individual trying to get yourself through the course, but in actual fact you're just one big team trying to get each other through.
The theory side, the maths, the science was challenging, but with the group they get you through. You work together as a team, revise, and yeah, you get through.
I expected it to be more strict, more disciplined, more shouting, more running about, but actually all they wanted to see was hard work, discipline and teamwork, getting the most out of you, making you prepared to finishing and then coming and being an asset to the Air Force afterwards.
During your Phase 2 training, it is more geared towards the actual trade that you're going into. For me personally, it was going through all the different sections that you'll be working in. You'll get taught on a basic level everything that you need to know. You'll go through different exams, practical and theory, but of course you will always get help from your supervisors, your corporals and sergeants whenever you need it.
Facilities on unit are quite numerous. We have a really good gym here.
So many sports to be played, basketball, rugby, football, golf. There's a swimming pool on base, there's even a bowling alley.
Hairdressers, dentists, hospital.
The accommodation and the food is subsidised, it's all nice.
It is a mini town really.
One of the best things about the apprenticeship is that I was offered a 12-year contract from the start. You've got job security right at the end of the apprenticeship, so you don't have to worry yourself about going into another job, and you can just develop your career from that point onwards, so it's a really good starting point.
Hello, welcome back to Parents Evening Live from RAF Cranwell. Now, we're in a different location. We're going to be enjoying what has been our beautiful backdrop so far over these last few sessions, which is the Herritage Centre. I'm going to give you a little tour. And it's fantastic, actually, because this RAF Cranwell base is actually one of the most famous landmarks in RAF history out of all the bases as well. There's so much on offer here to have a look around. Fascinating stories from when it was first a Royal Naval Air Service base to what it is in its current guise today. You might recognise this, one of the a model replica of a Red Arrow, moving bases actually in a couple of years actually to RAF Waddington to expand there. So Red Arrow's obviously an absolute staple. And here we've got some brilliant portraits from some of the men that have given their lives in service, and actually all of these men have earned the prestigious Victoria Cross from World War II. In fact, this one on the far left, this is Flight Sergeant A.L. Aaron, who sustained quite bad injuries during a plane crash, couldn't fly his plane back home. The engineer on board was able to fly the plane back home thanks to Sergeant A.L. Aaron's guidance, and he was able to sort of almost mime him how to get home because he couldn't talk. But sadly, he lost his life at the end of that journey. But just one of the men up here who has gone above and beyond their service and that Victoria Cross. So it's fascinating to read their stories here. So I do encourage you to come here if you can. Check it out online as well, and how to get here, a book during the opening times of it. And then we're going to come through here as well. And we've got squadron history here, 55 and the 45 squadron. Now, this is the 45 squadron from 45th Squadron from their flag, and that's from 1917. That's actually before the RAF became a thing, really. The RAF was named the RAF in 1918, so the year before that. So it's brilliant to see some of the historical significance here. And then if we come across as well to more of the 45th Squadron, still alive and kicking today. So even before it became the RAF, now still evolving, and you can see the history of it up here as well, and just have a look at some of the aircrafts they've gone through. It's really fascinating stuff. We've got 55 Squadron over here too, so diary entries and calendars, handwritten as well. It's brilliant to see just some of the thoughts and the processes that some of the flight sergeants went through during this period. So amazing stuff here in the 45th and the 55th Squadron as well, here at the RAF Cranwell Heritage Centre. Now we're going to come back through here. Our cameraman doing an excellent job of walking backwards, and we've got some outfits to have a look at as well. Outfits, uniforms, I think is the better word to say. If we see some of the smarter stuff here, especially the suit at the back, now that is, I'm told, called the mess dress for some of the more formal opportunities available in the RAF. You've also got a flight suit as well. And this is, well, it's not really a suit you want to find somebody wearing or wear yourself. Now, it's called CDRN. If you wear that, you're good from chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear threats. But you don't really want to be wearing that, but it's hefty stuff, and I'm told wearing it is not that pleasant either. You've got the rubber gloves as well, inner gloves. There's a material on the underside of this. This is quite waterproof too, and obviously you've got the covers on the boots too. He's got similar sized feet to me actually, so I could probably nick those. And over here, another uniform as well. This is actually the uniform of Air Marshal Sir Eric Dunn. Now Eric joined the RAF as an aircraft apprentice in 1944, so it seemed quite apt to show that, seeing as all evening long we'll be talking about being an apprentice and your journey through the RAF. So still the uniform here on display, just sort of marking the fantastic history that the RAF has on offer. And this is just a small section as well. They've got a flight simulation here too. There's other rooms that we can't quite show you now, but we thought we'd give you a little bit of an inside look. There's a gift shop as well, because all good places have a gift shop, right? So if you want your own mug or a little plane or a little pen, badge as well, you can take those too. And if you are deciding, I suppose, to have a life, have a career within the RAF, or indeed you're gearing up to do so, I would imagine it would be great to come to a place like this beforehand and just immerse yourself in the atmosphere as well. But also, it's quite a nice thing to do this December, because there is a free family Christmas trail that RAF Cranwell are putting on. No need to book, just show up. Go to the front desk, let them be here, and they'll give you a little sheet, and then you can get going. So plenty to do. So just a little taste of what's on offer there now. Quick mic switch. Have you had a look around there?
I did before while we was yeah, a little nosy.
But it must be amazing to sort of be a part of, I mean, that's just the smallest part of the history and the culture that the RAF has experienced and developed, but it must be a special feeling being a part of the RAF.
Absolutely. I mean, we had our centenary in 2018, which is not really a lot compared to the British Army or the Royal Navy. However, if you think that, you know, at the start of those 100 years, or when we first learnt to fly with the Wright brothers, and where we are now with a space force, we really have come a long way in those 100 years.
Did you ever think you'd end up doing what you're doing now? No, never.
Absolutely not. Again, those doors open, and whatever path you choose, you know, take opportunities as and when they arise.
Absolutely not. Do you echo those sentiments, Ewan? Because I suppose, I mean, everyone's had a chance to look around there earlier too, but even if you're not based at RAF Cranwell, you know, if you're driving up this part in the United Kingdom, you can drive almost in either direction just for a few hours and you'll see a sign that's pointing to an RAF base. So the presence they have across the UK is remarkable. If you get the chance to go on base, it's something quite special, actually.
Definitely, and also there's opportunities like the Families Days that most stations hold, where they'll often put on a flying display, and it's an opportunity for the general public to actually come onto camp for the most part and see what life is about.
What would you say to somebody, because, you know, as you mentioned, you have family and a life of people who aren't involved in the RAF, or I imagine you have friends as well who aren't in the RAF. What would you say to somebody who was thinking about doing it or wasn't sure what to do? If university wasn't quite the right choice, or they got nearly as far as you onto a course and then backed out at the last minute, what would you say to them to either convince them or just to have a look at what the RAF offers? Because it's not, I don't think, the first on everybody's list, because I don't think they realise, and that's what we're trying to do here, just how much is on offer and how much you can do. Because if you join the RAF, you know, you don't have to be a pilot.
Yeah, well, definitely. If it's on your radar or if it's an option for you, 100% go for it. I have had the best experience throughout my career. And if it's something that you're a little bit daunted about, the idea of being in the service and how that effect will transfer onto your family members and friends, I live a perfectly normal life. You know, I have family and friends outside of the Air Force. There's never an issue with that for me. It's never prevented me in any way. Can you
Pinpoint a highlight so far of being a part of the RAF? Is there one thing that stands out?
So for me, obviously, is that gold medal. Without the RAF, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to go and get it, and I wouldn't have had the time to be able to practice, and I wouldn't have made it.
Is it quite heavy?
It's fairly heavy.
Fairly heavy. On the mantelpiece somewhere? Yeah, very.
It's hung up already.
Oh, love, of course. Oh, absolutely. You actually get to keep it, because sometimes you win it and they whisk it off somewhere else. You get a replica. Yeah, you get it. It's yours. No one else is getting that. And what about you, Lewis? As well, a highlight, one standout memory so far that you've been able to achieve?
I think my graduation from here at Cranwell, when I commissioned, as a standout sort of RAF feature. But I also did some sailing. A joint services sailing with the Royal Navy and the British Army. So on the sort of social other opportunities side of things, sailing from New York to Halifax, Nova Scotia was a real highlight.
How long did that take?
So it was 2 weeks on a sailing yacht, learning new skills, engaging with people in different services, and generally having a laugh.
Yeah, are you left a bit to your own devices and that kind of thing, or are you guided through it, or how does that work?
Absolutely guided through. Yeah. So you have people from the service who are competent and qualified in that sports, if you like, and then I got the opportunity to learn a new skill and thrown in at the deep end slightly.
Every time I come to an RAF base, I'm always, I don't know why I need to stop being surprised, really, because the amount of opportunity that there is, you know, all the skills, let's make no bones about it, it is tough being a part of the RAF, the things you've got to go through, you've got to have the right mindset, I suppose, absolutely, but the opportunities it opens up for you, you can have a family, you can have a life outside, but also you can do all these amazing things, you can travel, learn new skills. It's hard to really kind of identify as to where else you might get that. Is there anything that you might have done instead? Because actually you felt like a degree and what you did wasn't for you. Were there other options before you decided to switch to the RAF, or was it just RAF?
For me, it was RAF. I found that my interests from school, sixth form, have changed. So I was quite interested in geography. I use it a little bit in my job now, but that's really about it. So my interest had swayed massively on what I wanted to do. But for me, once I realised, the RAF, and I'd done my research and careers offices and things like that, then that's the direction I headed.
Amazing. Well, look, we've taken up far too much of your time already. You and Lewis, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. It's really fascinating to hear all about life after the apprenticeship. And thank you as well for tuning in for all of our sessions so far. If you want to watch anything back, it'll all be available on the Not Going to Uni YouTube channel, as well as things will be available on the Not Going to Uni website as well. Find out more information about the RAF by visiting the RAF website. We've also got a live chat going, I believe, which you can ask some questions in still, or drop a note in the comments below and we'll do our very best. But thank you for taking the time. I've been Harry Benjamin and we'll see you for our next RAF Live. Bye-bye.
So day to day, I work on typhoons like you see behind me. Go in, we'll speak up to our management after they've been given their brief, and they'll start delegating jobs. These jobs can range from anything from just going out and making sure the jet's serviceable and good to fly, to pulling an ejection seat out, to loading any missiles or bombs or fuel tanks that are needed for that day. No day is the same, although it is the same task, and it's just always a group of you having fun while doing your work. So we're here where I done my initial 5A6 training, which allowed me to put the armament equipment onto the jet, and it helped enhance my hand skills and knowledge for around the weapon systems on the jet. So for in here, you're here for 2 weeks completing your training, but it can go on longer if you do need the extra bit of training to help you through. While you're down here, everything is identical apart from all the explosives are made safe. They won't contain live explosives in with them. Everything's the same weight, all the electronics are the same. It's to simulate as much as possible that exactly what you'll be doing out in a flight line, just without any risk in case something goes wrong. This is where you want to be making mistakes, where if you scuff a missile, you scuff a bomb, it's not a big issue, whereas if you do that outside, it will cause other repercussions.
As an acoustics warfare operator, I'm directly involved with protection of the nuclear deterrent.
We've proven how vital it can be for patrolling the seas, not only around our own nation, but across the globe as well.
I'm Barnsey.
My name is Josh.
And I'm a weapon systems operator within the Royal Air Force. Day to day, it's constant training and preparation, discussing about tactics, how we can do things better, working in synthetic environments to harness our skills so that when we do get airborne, we're able to deliver capable air power.
On the days where you are flying, you do the briefs beforehand, and then you go up flying for about 6 to 8 hours, and then you land and do the debrief. When you are flying, it can be long days, but you're constantly doing stuff throughout that whole day, so it can go quite quickly, especially once you're used to it.
The opportunity of being a weapons system operator is quite varied. We do a lot of electronic intelligence gathering, collections, and you can fly on multiple different platforms. So you can go into helicopters and other fixed-wing assets such as the A400M, for example. So my job role as an acoustic specialist would be to analyse different submarine signatures, and from that information we would then pass that up to our leaders for strategic impact.
We very much work in a team. There's between 8 and 9 crew members at a time when you're flying. We're all talking to each other. It's all mainly first name basis. There's no rank, and we all just work really well together and get the job done.
It's great. It's good fun. You're working with your mates. You're having a good laugh, but you also have professionalism amongst the crew. So everybody's eager to do the job that's asked of them, but also have good camaraderie.
There's loads of opportunities. There's lots to do up here, and the RAF does provide many routes to do adventure training and to do sports as well.
The Royal Air Force has taken me around the world. I've been very fortunate from my time on Nimrods, where we were doing exercises in the Mediterranean. I then went to Australia. From Australia, explored Southeast Asia, Hawaii a few times. Since being on Poseidon, we did our training out in Florida for 6 months, and we've also recently just did our first exercise overseas in Sicily this year. So the opportunity is there to get out and about for sure.
Traits, I'd have to say, you need to be good at multitasking, you need to be good at working in a team, and you also need some leadership qualities as well, because you never know whenever you might have to step up and take control of a situation.